Hello friends, this is Dr. Sajadwani. This is the lecture 2 of the general studies portion for the Panchayat Accounts Assistants Examination. तो हमने अभी तक बात की अबाउट द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली. मैंने आपको बताया द स्कीम अंडर द कैबिनेट मिशन प्लान. फिर मैंने आपको बताया कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली के लिए जो इलेक्शंस हो गए थे उनमें उनका रिजल्ट क्या आया था. फिर मैंने आपको ये भी बताया कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली वाज पार्टली इलेक्टेड एंड पार्टली नॉमिनेटेड एंड इट रिप्रेजेंटेड ऑलमोस्ट ऑल द सेक्शंस ऑफ द सोसाइटी. अब हम बात करेंगे अबाउट द वर्किंग ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली. आप कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली में कुछ डेट्स याद रखेंगे. दे आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फ्रॉम द एग्जामिनेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. ये मैक्सिमम एग्जाम्स में जो भी कंप्यूटर एग्जाम्स है उनमें ये क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. पहला पॉइंट ये है द कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली इट हेल्ड इट्स फर्स्ट मीटिंग ऑन, ये आपको याद रखना है, ये डेट आपको याद रखना है. द कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली हेल्ड इट्स फर्स्ट मीटिंग ऑन 9th December 1946. You have to remember this point. So the first meeting held by the Constituent Assembly was held on 9th December 1946. You have to remember this. And you must remember that the Muslim League, it boycotted the meeting. So Muslim League was not present on the first date of meeting of the Constituent Assembly. ठीक है. और आपको ये याद रखना है that the Constituent Assembly, when it met on the first date, it was attended by 211 members only. ठीक है. And on the first date, on the French practice, what the Constituent Assembly did, it chose or it elected the oldest member whose name was Dr. Sachid Ananda Sinha. Dr. Sachid Ananda Sinha, he was elected as the temporary president of the Constituent Assembly, and the Constituent Assembly did this following the French practice. French क्या करते थे? They usually they elected the oldest members as their heads of the Constituent Assembly. Here, our Constituent Assembly also did the same. They elected the oldest member whose name was Dr. Sachidananda Sinha. He was elected as the temporary president of the Constituent Assembly of India. ये आपको याद रखना है. So 9th December 1946 पे क्या क्या हुआ था? 9th December 1946 पे the first meeting of Constituent Assembly was held. इसी दिन the Pakistan on the demand for the creation of Pakistan, the Muslim League, it boycotted the meeting. And number 3, only 211 members, they attended the first meeting. And number 4, Dr. Sachin Ananda Sinha was elected as the temporary president of the Constituent Assembly of India. Why? Because the Constituent Assembly, it followed the French practice of electing the oldest member as the president. ठीक है. इसके बाद आप याद रखेंगे the next meeting of the Constituent Assembly, the meeting of 11th December 1946. On 11th December 1946, what the Constituent Assembly did, it elected its president, means the permanent president, and it elected its vice president. ठीक है. The Constituent Assembly, it elected its president and it elected its vice president on 11th December 1946 and not on the 9th December 1946. Who was the president? Dr. Rajendra Prasad. He was elected the president of the Constituent Assembly. हम Constituent Assembly की बात कर रहे हैं, न कि President of India. और Vice President किसको चुना गया? ये आपको याद रखना है. H.C. Mukherjee. H.C. Mukherjee, he was elected as the Vice President of the Constituent Assembly of India. And on the same date, Sir B.N. Rao was appointed as the constitutional advisor. So on the same date, an advisor was appointed. He was not elected, he was appointed. His name was Sir B.N. Rao. So these are all the happenings of the initial days of the Constituent Assembly. I told you that the Constituent Assembly first met on 9th December 1946 and Dr. Sachidananda Sinha was elected as the temporary president of the Constituent Assembly of India. Then on 11th December 1946, the permanent president of the Constituent Assembly of India was elected, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, and then the vice president, H.C. Mukherjee, and then the constitutional advisor, Sir B.N. Rao, was appointed as the constitutional advisor of the Constituent Assembly of India. ठीक है. इसके बाद आप नेक्स्ट डेट याद रखेंगे, दैट इज द 13th December. ये आपको याद रखना है. दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट डेट एंड वेरी सिग्निफिकेंट डेट एंड इट मे बी आस्क्ड इन द एग्जामिनेशन दैट ऑन 13th December 1946. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. The famous objectives resolution was moved. आपको याद रखना है objectives resolution. The famous objectives resolution was moved in the Constituent Assembly. ठीक है, objectives resolution क्या था? It was a resolution which laid down the fundamentals of the constitution. जो हमारा constitution बनने वाला था, जो हमारा constitutional structure था, उसके जो fundamental principles थे और उसकी जो philosophy थी, that was laid in these objectives resolution. And this objectives resolution, it was also known as the 8 points resolution. 8 points resolution, ये आपको याद रखना है. So the 8 points resolution, it included the 8 fundamentals or the 8 philosophical basis of the Constitution of India. ये आपको याद रखना है. And this objectives resolution, who moved it? ये आपको याद रखना है, Jawaharlal Nehru. Nehru moved it. So the objectives resolution, first point, it was moved on 13th December 1946. Number 2, who moved it? Jawaharlal Nehru moved it. Number 3, what was objectives resolution? It was 8 points resolution which provided or laid down the fundamentals and the philosophy of the constitutional structure of India. So इसी resolution में जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया के जो बेसिस हैं वो दिए गए थे, लाइक द इंडिपेंडेंट सोवेरियन रिपब्लिक. इंडिया वुड बी एन इंडिपेंडेंट सोवेरियन रिपब्लिक. इंडिया वुड बी अ यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट्स, राइट. इंडियन स्टेट्स विल हैव सर्टेन ऑटोनॉमी. इसमें हमने जिक्र किया है, जवाहरलाल नेहरू ने इसमें जिक्र किया अबाउट द सोवेरेनिटी ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंट इंडिया, राइट. About the sovereignty, about the adequate safeguards to the backward classes, to the tribal areas, to the depressed and backward classes of people, to the minorities. इसी ऑब्जेक्टिव रेजोल्यूशन में जवाहरलाल नेहरू ने बात की है अबाउट द इंटीग्रिटी ऑफ द यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया, अबाउट द इंटीग्रिटी ऑफ द टेरिटरी ऑफ इंडिया, ठीक है, अबाउट द सोवरीन राइट्स ऑफ इंडिया, अबाउट द वर्ल्ड पीस एंड वेलफेयर ऑफ द मैनकाइंड. So the objectives resolution, it included the fundamentals of the constitutional structure. You must remember that the objectives resolution, it was finally adopted by the Constituent Assembly of India. It was adopted by the Constituent Assembly of India on 22nd January 1947. You must remember. So on 22nd January 1947, it was unanimously adopted. So the objectives resolution, it was moved on 13th December 1946 by Jawaharlal Nehru, and the objectives resolution was also known as the 8 points resolution. But the objectives resolution was finally adopted by the Constituent Assembly, and it was unanimously adopted by Constituent Assembly on 22nd January 1947. ये आपको याद रखना है, ठीक है. और ये ऑब्जेक्टिव्स रेजोल्यूशन है, इट हेल्प इन द शेपिंग ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, ठीक है. जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल डेवलपमेंट्स हुई, दिस रेजोल्यूशन इट फॉर्मड द बेसिस फॉर शेपिंग द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया. एंड दिस ऑब्जेक्टिव्स रेजोल्यूशन, इट वाज इन इट्स मॉडिफाइड फॉर्म, द मॉडिफाइड वर्जन ऑफ द ऑब्जेक्टिव्स रेजोल्यूशन ऑफ Constituent Assembly of India, it formed the preamble to the present constitution. ये आपको याद रखना है, this is very important. So the preamble to the Constitution of India, it is the modified version of the Objectives Resolution of India. So in this lecture, आप ये याद रखेंगे, some questions may be asked from these, like on 9th December 1946 क्या हुआ था? Dr. Sachin Sinha was elected the temporary president of India as 11th president of Constituent Assembly of India. और 11th December पे क्या हुआ था? Rajendra Prasad and H.C. Mukherjee were elected as the president and vice president of the Constituent Assembly of India respectively. And on 13th December क्या हुआ था? Objectives resolution or 8 points resolution was moved by Jawaharlal Nehru, which was finally adopted on 22nd January 1947, and its modified form, it formed the preamble of the Constitution of India. ठीक है. इसके बाद जो हमारा Constituent Assembly था, Constituent Assembly, it started preparing the Constitution, it started drafting the Constitution. But there were certain changes which were brought to the Constituent Assembly of India after the Indian Independence Act of 1947. ये आपको याद रखना है, ठीक है. After 1947, after the Indian Independence Act of 1947, Constituent Assembly में 3 major changes आ गई. You must remember that. Number 1 change ये थी that the Assembly, it was made a fully sovereign body. अभी तक क्या था? The Constituent Assembly, it was empowered under the Parliament of Great Britain. अब इसके बाद क्या हो गया? This Constituent Assembly, it could abrogate, it could alter, or it could make amendments to any law made by the British Parliament in relation to India. याद रखिएगा, ठीक है? अभी तक before the Indian Independence Act of 1947, the Constituent Assembly was not a sovereign body because it worked directly under the British Parliament. ठीक है? Because we were, whatever our resolutions were, we had to submit them to the British. Now, after the Indian Independence Act of 1947, the Constituent Assembly became a fully sovereign body. Number second, the Constituent Assembly, it was till now a constituent body. Constituent body means its objective was to frame the constitution only. But now the Constituent Assembly became the legislative body. What is that? It became the legislative body in the sense that it started making laws for the India. It became the first parliament of the free India, जिसको हम Dominion legislature कहते हैं. So the Constituent Assembly became the Dominion legislature. What is Dominion legislature? It became the legislature of Dominion of India. That means it was the first body which made laws for the free India after Indian independence. ये आपको याद रखना है. अभी तक मैंने आपको बोला that Dr. Rajendra Prasad, he was elected as the president of the Constituent Assembly. But ये याद रखिएगा, the Constituent Assembly, it sometimes met as a constituent body and sometimes it met as a legislative body after 1947, after the Indian Independence Act of 1947. When it met as a constituent body, it was presided over by the constituent president, whose name was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. But when it met as a legislative body, it was headed by a president of the legislative body, a president of the Dominion legislature. ठीक है? So it was chaired by G.V. Mavlankar. You have to remember this. G.V. Mavlankar. He was the chairman of the Constituent Assembly when the Constituent Assembly met as a legislative body. But the chairman of the Constituent Assembly when it met as a constituent body was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. ये आपको याद रखना है. And the third change brought by the 1947 Act of Indian Independence was that the Constituent Assembly, the number of seats of the Constituent Assembly, it came down to 299. ठीक है? पहले हमने बोला था the total number of seats of Constituent Assembly was to be 389. ठीक है? पिछले लेक्चर में मैंने बताया है. तो by this act क्या हुआ? Because there was subsequent partition, उससे क्या हो गया? There the number of seats went down from 389 to 299 only. ये आपको याद रखना है. Because the strength of the Indian provinces was reduced. Obviously, because of the partition and because of the division of India, the number of seats, it went down from 389 to 299. That means 90 seats were subtracted. ठीक है? From 389 to 299. ये आपको याद रखना है. तो ये 90 सीट्स कम कैसे होगी? बिकॉज इन आवर प्रोविंसेस वी हैड हाउ मेनी सीट्स? अगर आपको याद है पिछले लेक्चर में मैंने बोला था 296. तो इसमें क्या हो गया? पाकिस्तान की तरफ 67 सीट्स चली गई. सो वी वर लेफ्ट विद 229 सीट्स. और प्रिंसली स्टेट्स में पिछले लेक्चर में मैंने बोला था 93 सीट्स. पाकिस्तान की तरफ 23 सीट्स गई. तो रही कितनी? 70. द टोटल वाज 229 plus 70 is 299. So the Constituent Assembly, it was left with 299 seats only. ठीक है? I hope आपको ये समझ आया होगा. In next lecture I will make a small lecture about the functions of the Constituent Assembly. ठीक है?